Anyone involved in a company that sells products needs to know prompt engineering for AI in order to dominate in 2025. In this video, I'll discuss the training data that was used to create ChatGPT. I'll give an overview of what prompt engineering is, and I'll explain all the ways that I personally structure prompts to get the most out of an AI for my clothing brand, so I can get way more done in less time with less people, so my brand can make more money, I can sell more products, and reach a wider audience. My name is Chris Drago. I've been running a brand called Pathos of Things for about 5 years now. And I make videos on YouTube documenting my process so I get better every day at being a creative director and brand owner. I've also worked for 3 different digital marketing agencies over the last decade, and I'm extremely passionate about technology and AI tools. Before I dive into the main contents of today's video, I highly suggest that you click the link in the description to download this whiteboard. It'll be much easier for you to understand the information if you're following along with me. In fact, I won't just send this document, I'll actually give you access to my entire database of whiteboards, PDFs, and slides that I've used for all of my other YouTube videos as well. I'll personally email you a link to this document with a password so you can access all of my whiteboards. Link in the description. All right, so as of November 9th, 2024, these are the main OpenAI models. If you're unfamiliar with the term model, think about it like a person. GPT-4o is one model with its own abilities, functions, and training data. GPT-4o Mini is a smaller version of GPT-4o. It's extremely fast, but might not give you as much detail or go as in-depth as you'd like. Then the newest models are the O1 Preview and O1 Mini. The newest models are the most advanced models. These O1 models use something called chain of thought reasoning, where the model will take a complex concept and then break it down into lots of little pieces and then run through those step by step in order to give you the best possible output. I'll show this in real time when I open up ChatGPT and we test it on video. And then there's the advanced voice mode, which I will also test on video. I've already tested the advanced voice mode on another one of my YouTube videos where I asked the AI questions about the future of art. It was pretty interesting. I highly recommend checking that out. So what's actually happening when we send ChatGPT a message and then it replies to us? When we ask ChatGPT a question, it accesses a huge data set, otherwise known as the training data, which is a huge collection of text that the model reads to learn patterns in language. Most of ChatGPT's data comes from the Common Crawl. 60% of the data, in fact. The Common Crawl dataset consists of web page data, metadata extracts, and text extracts from over 8 years of web crawling. Basically, it scraped 8 years of whatever people were doing on the internet and then used that as the primary data source for ChatGPT. 22% of the training data comes from Web Text 2, which consists of Reddit posts that have 3 or more upvotes. 16% of the data came from 2 internet-based book collections called Books 1 and Books 2. 3% of the dataset comes from Wikipedia, and 93% of the dataset was in English. If you want to read more about ChatGPT statistics and read the official archive paper from OpenAI about the datasets, both of those links are in the document. To summarize, the AI doesn't remember any exact phrases. Instead, it recognizes the likely ways that words should appear based on patterns. It's really just a word predicting machine. In other words, the model doesn't know specific facts, but it just draws on general knowledge from the internet to respond in a way that feels natural. In addition to accessing all of that training data, ChatGPT can now search the internet directly. I figured no better way to explain than getting it straight from the source, so I enabled the search function on ChatGPT and said, explain to me the new search feature in very simple terms. So ChatGPT searched the internet, found a source directly from OpenAI. ChatGPT's new search feature allows it to access and provide up-to-date information from the internet. That means it can now answer questions about current events, live sports scores, stock prices, and other real-time data by searching the web. When you ask a question, ChatGPT retrieves the latest information and includes links to the sources it used, so you can verify the details yourself. This enhancement makes ChatGPT more reliable for inquiries that require the most recent information, which is very new and a huge game changer. This is going to compete with Google search. So if there's so much data that is available, How do we make sure that whenever we're talking to ChatGPT, we want to access the data that's relevant to us? The answer is through prompt engineering, which is the skill of designing prompts to get the most useful responses from the AI. Since large language models respond based on patterns, the way you ask something affects the answer you receive. Think of prompt engineering like directing an actor. The clearer and more specific your direction, the better performance. Or in the case of like with my brand, I like to think of it similar to directing models on how they pose and how they look to get the best possible photos. Prompt engineering is very similar, where I'm using skills to direct the AI to help me get the best possible result. So let's look at some examples of basic prompts and then juiced up prompt engineered versions. This is still going to be pretty basic. I'm not getting into anything like markdown format or structuring the data yet, but this will get you a much better idea of the basics of prompt engineering. Example 1, a very basic prompt would be to go onto ChatGPT and just type in, "Tell me about color theory." This basic prompt could lead to a general answer that might apply to any field using color theory, from graphic design to interior decorating. But I am not a graphic designer, nor am I an interior decorator. So I would need to fix the prompt, explain the basics of color theory for visual artists, including the emotional impact of warm versus cool colors in painting. The prompt engineered version clearly specifies the target audience as visual artists, guiding the model to focus on aspects of color theory most relevant to painting and fine arts. Example 2, here's a very basic prompt, asking the model what is abstract art. Asking what is abstract art is super broad, and it could lead to a simple or high-level definition. If we want to get more into the nitty-gritty details, we would need to upgrade this prompt as follows. Describe the key characteristics of abstract art and explain how artists like Wassily Kandinsky and Jackson Pollock used color and form to express emotions without representational images. By specifying the key characteristics of abstract art, the prompt encourages the model to describe unique aspects rather than giving a general overview. Example 3. A very basic prompt would be to ask how do film directors use lighting. Simply asking the model how directors use lighting could lead to a broad response, covering various uses without a focus. The prompt engineered version reads as follows. Explain how film directors use lighting to set mood and convey emotion, with examples from classic noir films and contemporary horror. The prompt engineered version directs the AI to explore how lighting affects the emotional tone of a scene specifically, making the response more relevant to creative storytelling. Example number 4. The basic prompt reads, what are some techniques in digital illustration? Which is super broad and vague and will likely lead to a general list of beginner techniques. The prompt engineered version reads, list advanced techniques in digital illustration for creating textured painterly effects, with recommendations on brush settings and layering tips for Adobe Photoshop. By specifying the advanced techniques, the AI is directed to focus on more sophisticated methods, making the answer better suited for an experienced digital artist. And for the last example, the basic prompt reads, what is storytelling in photography? Which is likely to result in a theoretical discussion of storytelling, which may lack any practical tips or substance. Instead, a better prompt would be, describe how photographers use composition, lighting, and subject placement to tell a story in a single image with examples from street photography. By highlighting techniques like lighting and composition with genre examples like street photography, this prompt encourages a response that combines theory with practice, providing way more value to photographers. Okay, so let's try some of these prompts in practice. On the left side of my screen, I have the ChatGPT app open, and on the right side of my screen, I have the Figma whiteboard that we were just looking at. This is a good way for me to demo all of the different models very quickly so you can see them in action. Let's start with GPT-4o. And we're going to use example 1. Okay, so we're going to say, tell me about color theory, and just see what happens. Okay, so now it's generating the response. So as predicted, it's led to a pretty general answer, which is not specific to any field. In fact, it actually mentions multiple fields like art, design, and marketing. This is a cool place to start if I have no clue about color in general, and I wanted to get the fundamentals. All right, now let's try the prompt engineered version with GPT-4o. Explain the basics of color theory for visual artists, including the emotional impact of warm versus cool colors in painting. And now let's see the response for this prompt. Okay, so now the response is way more specific. We still have some color wheel basics here, which we got from the output of the basic prompt, but then goes way more in depth, provides specific information about warm versus cool colors, which we included in our prompt, discusses the emotional and psychological impact, which we also included in our prompt, goes even deeper into using warm and cool colors together, explains tints, shades, and saturation, which is awesome, and then provides tips where artists can actually use this in practical application. So quite obviously, the prompt engineered version is way better, at least for my specific use case, because I want to go deeper than just getting a general overview of how color works. So let's start a new chat and change the model to GPT-4o Mini, which is the smaller and faster version of 4o. We'll use the basic prompt first. Tell me about color theory. It's moving way quicker. Wow, that was like light speed. So this response is way more concise and uses very brief bullets to get the point across. This is great if I was on my phone and out and about and I just wanted a very quick overview of something. Now let's try this model with the prompt engineered version of this prompt. Start a new chat, still in GPT-4o Mini. Here's the prompt engineered version. Press enter, moving lightning quick again. That was like in less than a second. As we could see here, it goes into much more detail, discussing warm and cool colors specifically, because that was in our prompt. I love this response. It was insanely fast, like basically instant, and gives me just what I need to know with less words than when I used the regular 4o model. All right, so now we're going to try the O1 preview model, which is the most up-to-date and powerful model from OpenAI. For this, I'm only going to use the prompt engineered version. I think we get the point now that the prompt engineered version gives us a better output than the basic version. And this is also a good opportunity for me to highlight the COT or chain of thought reasoning that this model uses when crafting its output. All right, so I pasted the prompt back in here. Remember, we have the O1 model running. Let's press enter. Now you'll see that the model is thinking, which is new. We didn't see this before on the 4o model. If we open up this panel, we can see the thought process of this model while it goes step by step and breaks down exactly what we need. Here is the response. Before I read the response, let's look at the chain of thoughts. So first, the model thought about color theory, where it thought to itself, okay, let me see. I'm mapping out color theory for visual artists, focusing on the basics and contrasting warm and cool colors, emotional effects in painting. That was step 1. Then it took this information and fed it to step 2, understanding color dynamics. I'm working through the basics of color theory, including primary, secondary, tertiary colors and their relationships on the color wheel. I'm also exploring hue, value, saturation, and emotional impact of warm colors. Step 3 was laying the groundwork, where it applied its understanding of color theory and color dynamics and contrasted how it affects people's emotions. Then, after the model was done thinking, it gave us this output, which starts with an overview of what color theory is in visual arts, had a section all about the color wheel, color properties, color relationships and schemes, warm versus cool colors, the emotional impact in painting, the practical application in art, a conclusion, and references for further reading. So this was by far the best output out of the 3 models that we tested, because it took a complex concept and broke it into several sub-steps. O1 Mini is the smaller and faster version of O1 Preview. Just for the sake of time, I'm not going to demo O1 Mini, but I highly recommend that you jump in and do it yourself on your own ChatGPT. Okay, and the last model that I want to demo today is the advanced voice mode, which we can activate by pressing this button here in the ChatGPT desktop app. For consistency's sake, I am going to use our example 1 again, but instead of typing the prompt, I'm going to speak it. And then the advanced voice assistant is going to speak back to me in real time, and we're going to have a little conversation. Okay, here we go. Hi, explain to me the basics of color theory for visual artists, including the emotional impact of warm versus cool colors in painting.
Color theory is all about how colors interact and the effects they create in art. At its core, it involves the color wheel, which shows primary colors, red, blue, yellow, secondary colors, green, orange, purple, and tertiary colors, which are blends of primary and secondary colors. Warm colors, like red, orange, and yellow, are vivid and energetic, often associated with feelings of warmth, passion, and energy. They tend to advance in a painting, making them seem closer to the viewer. Cool colors, like blue, green, and purple, are calming and soothing, often linked to feelings of tranquility, sadness, or serenity. They tend to recede in a painting, giving a sense of depth. Artists use these colors deliberately to evoke emotions and direct the viewer's eye. By balancing warm and cool colors, artists can create a sense of harmony, contrast, or focus within their work. It's a powerful tool for visual storytelling.
Let's switch the focus a little bit. Instead of applying the basics of color theory for visual artists, how can this be applied from the perspective of a fashion designer creating a new garment for an upcoming collection?
Absolutely. In fashion design, color theory plays a crucial role in creating mood, highlighting features, and expressing themes in a collection. Understanding the emotional impact of colors helps a designer choose palettes that convey the desired message. For example, a collection for spring might feature fresh, cool colors like greens and blues to evoke a sense of renewal and calm. In contrast, a fall collection might use warm tones like oranges and reds to create a cozy, inviting feel. Designers use color to flatter different skin tones and body types. Warm colors can make an outfit pop and draw attention, while cool colors can be used to create a slimming effect or to calm a busy pattern. Lastly, combining colors from opposite sides of the color wheel, complementary colors, can create striking, vibrant looks. Analogous colors, which are next to each other on the wheel, offer a more harmonious and cohesive look. By mastering color theory, fashion designers can craft garments that not only look great, but also tell a story and evoke specific emotions.
Okay, that was cool. So now when I ended the voice chat, I get a full backup of the transcript right here in the desktop app. Okay, so that was a basic overview of prompt engineering for people in brands or creative industries. In my next prompt engineering video, I'm going to cover structuring prompts, where we'll talk about markdown format, role-based prompting, injecting specific information in examples, defining the output, and more, where we'll put it all together. After that, I'll be breaking down how to use the API and the playground. We'll talk about system prompts, function calling and automations, model configuration, file search, code interpreter, and custom instructions, where I'll break down my exact personal custom instructions that I use with my personal ChatGPT account. So if any of that sounds good to you, I highly recommend smashing the like and subscribe buttons. If there's a specific topic you'd like me to cover in a future video, please leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one.